So while the world continues to be set on fire by all of the politics everywhere, I wanted to, I'm going to show some cold cases that have been solved that just came out in the last 12 hours. But I wanted to mention one of the reasons that all of a sudden they're getting solved. One is because you can thank the good Lord upstairs, yes, because of the fact that there's tons of counties that are allowing the exhuming of bodies, and so DNA plays a part in it. But like I said yesterday in my video, the DNA technology's been there a long time. There was a time, it's going back, at least 4 decades, when cold cases would get solved pretty quickly, but they haven't. So if you read an expert paper, they're not going to tell you what the real reason is, because again, I don't think many of the professors, these experts, have enough insight into themselves, okay? But if you ask the police, and there was an article I read today, why there's been 250,000 cold cases that haven't been solved. Well, it's because they've been defunded. They've been demoralized. They've cut their staff. There's more allowing, especially in the Democratic cities, of crime and less supporting of police. Look, in Chicago, I went to nursing school in Chicago, okay? And I'll say from the onset here, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to police because I do have family that are police, and back when I was in nursing school. So they do not set their day out to make your life miserable. Are there some arrogant, cocky police? Yeah, there is. But there's arrogant, cocky nurses too. Every profession has them. But most police are just going to do their job hoping that they're going to go home at night, especially in your big cities where a lot of crime is. So they do not set out to hate on the black people or vice versa. But what's really needs to be driven home here is that both the police and the black people all through these years have been socially engineered, both have been socially engineered by your very politicians, by your very universities, to weaken you. It weakens both sides. So black people think the police have so much power. They don't. In many of these most of the Democratic run cities, the gangs are running the place. Okay, most people won't go into Chicago anymore. They won't. They just won't. There's places that I would used to have gone to. I won't go there now. Not a chance. That because they've cut the staff of police. They've made the city streets more dangerous. Then you add the whole migrant problem, and so the city cops, even though they may never publicly say it, okay, they know every Democrat will always do everything against their profession. They will. They're used to it, okay? I would say most of your Democrat cities are like that. They are a brotherhood. Yes, the police are a brotherhood, but here's why. They are not in a job or a profession where they can just go home and at the dinner table tell the family what happened in their day, if you know what I mean. They can't. It would traumatize the family, especially if you're a Chicago cop. It's things that people don't want to hear because they see the worst things, the worst kinds of murders, babies murdered, ritual killings, gang violence, holding, a 5-year-old in their lap after they've just had their parents gunned down in front of them. I mean, so the amount of trauma that they see, especially in a major city, is a lot, and they only have each other to share it with. So that should be taken into account, and it's not. And I guess the reason this really bothers me, and I don't hear anybody talking about what has been done to the police, what is wrong, and it's the reason I call on all the Chicagoland hospitals, and I know they won't do it, and the nursing organizations, to apologize to the police, because when they put out, when every hospital in Chicago and the surrounding suburbs put out their letter in the summer of 2020, when BLM was burning cities down, especially like Chicago and all over, Okay, that was terrorism. And all of the hospitals said, we stand with Black Lives Matter. So the hospitals got on board with the nursing profession. And I'm not saying all the nurses, I'm talking about the Association of Nursing and the unions. They got on board with that to help socially engineer people. And then you had your Ilhan Omar and you had your Rashida Tlaib and AOC demanding that, they're the same ones that are standing with the Hamas terrorists. I don't know if you saw that. There was an insurrection in the capital, America. I don't. That's maybe not. They've been chanting death to America. Yeah, those are politicians doing that. Yeah. But then they're also supporting Hamas. They're also the ones that's demanded for defunding the police. So when you demoralize the police, they do the same thing to nursing. It's why they cut nursing staff. You eventually just get burnt out. Like the very nursing profession loves to put out their papers about, oh, COVID burnt nurses. It's like, no, you people did, because you people can't prioritize. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You've been part of the problem, actually. Okay, no, they love to use the staffing thing. I mean, they've used this thing going back to the 1900s. Okay, maybe not that early, but they've been around, that long. So they create much of the problem. And so the reason nurses get burned out is because of American Nurses Association, International Council of Nurses, going all the way back to them, all those nurses. Yes, I'm sorry if they don't want to see that again. They don't want to do any reflecting at themselves. That's really too bad, because if they did, then they might see how really we do owe the police an apology. Because those are the people that solve the crimes, and they used to get solved. And it's not that they stopped solving them, but when you demoralize people, like the way all the hospitals, the media, the politicians, especially because for Chicago cops, it went from they were used to the city doing that to them, to then the whole country, people in the community saw them as enemies. And then since then, it's the gangs running the place. So there's not much of an incentive. There's not much, they don't have the staff. So that's how then over time, and then if you have a president like Barack Obama who brought BLM in, then that's how over time you get to a place where 250,000 murders and homicides aren't solved. So it makes you wonder, did they just not want these solved? Did the very people that stood up for Black Lives Matter, did they, are they that criminally minded? Yeah, I wonder, who knows? That professor that I put up yesterday from Columbia that was ranting, and I'm not bashing him at all, okay, I get it. But here's the thing, okay, he's a professor. If you couldn't recognize, because BLM is all through the universities, it's in the culture. BLM was the catalyst to bring in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and your health equity in hospitals. That's why all the hospitals in the nursing profession got on board with BLM in the summer of 2020. That's why they worked in lockstep, so that they could bring health equity in, their pseudoscience. So, but the universities brought the diversity, as everybody knows, because it's in all the schools, even the smaller schools, the younger schools. So if a professor can't recognize when BLM is a terrorist organization, then he shouldn't get up there and bitch and complain when it's his race that people are rallying against. I'm not saying it's right. It's not. But when you let a terrorist organization like BLM be a big part of the university culture, then you should expect to have students on your campus that are also going to support other terrorist organizations. So if you're going to bitch and complain and be afraid of the ones that are promoting Hamas, then you also should be realizing or sitting back, doing some reflecting about, wait a minute, not saying, oh, Columbia is a great university. No, these universities are not. Do they have some good elements to them? Yes, but they massively need to be cleared out because of the terrorist support that's in them. Because that professor couldn't recognize when BLM was chanting on it. That was okay for him, right? But when it came to his race, it was a problem. Neither one is okay. BLM burned down cities and threatened and terrorized and hurt people. They, on a small level, are no different than Hamas. If you're going to call all the terrorist organizations out, then you need to call BLM out.